I was asked a question: what does forgiveness look like? And I thought about this and I realized forgiveness is the act of letting go of anger, of resentment towards someone who has hurt you or wronged you in some kind of way. See, it's a conscious decision to change my mind, my feelings, and my behavior about a situation or a person. See, in the Bible, Joseph had every right, in our eyes, to not forgive his brothers who sold him for slavery. Their intentions were completely bad. But at the end of the day, his response to them was, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Just because something bad has happened to you doesn't mean God cannot use that for the good for you. See, when you think about forgiveness, when you forgive someone, it lifts a burden that has been holding you down, which now you're released from. You can look back at that situation and not worry about or be concerned about that emotional aspect of that situation, what it kept you held on to, that emotionalness of being stuck. See, you have to intentionally forgive someone. It's not our nature. It's not our natural call of order because we're born in sin. So naturally, sometimes some things may come hard to us. But instead, we have to voluntarily go through that process of I forgive. I'm changing my feelings, my attitude, my mindset, my heart posture towards a certain person. I'm changing it. I remember there was a time when I literally thought I had forgiven someone. I never seen him. I hadn't seen him for years. I'm saying maybe 15 years. And I know it's probably over that. I hadn't seen that person, so I thought I forgave him, right? They were out of my mind. I never thought of them. I wasn't Googling them. I wasn't Facebooking. I wasn't looking them up. I was good. And then after 15 some years, I seen the person. And all of those feelings begin to come back like a flood. It wasn't that I forgave them. It was they were not in my eye gate. That I would see them. It was as if we lived on two different planets, and then all of a sudden, bam, there they were. And all these feelings started coming up. I was getting angry. I was getting anxious. I was like, what in the world? Because I thought I was over it. But I actually had never faced it. They weren't in my face, so I didn't have to deal with it. And this is probably what many of us do. When the person's not in our radar, I'm over it. But all of a sudden, years later, after the event, after the hurt, after the pain, all of a sudden this person appears again. And those feelings begin to rush in. They hurt me. They did this. They said this about me. They did that to me. All of these things start piling up on you. What do? What does true forgiveness look like? Letting it go. And I literally had to tell myself, I went to my room and I said, well, what in the world is going on? I am upset. I didn't even know I was going to be upset. But it took me by surprise. One, I didn't expect to see that person ever in life again. But I hadn't forgave them because all of a sudden these thoughts got flooded in my head. All these ideas, all this stuff started coming to me. And I realized I'm not over that. I'm not over that pain. I might never get a chance to talk to that person and say, hey, you hurt me. Because that was an intentional hurt. You knew that you hurt me. You knew what you did was wrong. But I realized I had to deal with me. I had to deal with my heart. I had to deal with the way I thought about that person. I mean, I went home and I discussed it. I discussed it with my children, my husband. I mean, I was rearing up. It's like, well, how long ago was this? I mean, did it happen just a while ago? No, this was like 15 some years ago. But it hadn't been released. Some of us have things that happened when we were kids that people did to us and we're still holding it. I remember when you tripped me and I fell. I remember when this happened and we haven't released it. So what does true forgiveness look like? I heard somebody say the other day that you can forgive a person and you just, don't even let them in your space anymore. Are we really forgiving? Because I thought I had forgiven that person until they were in my space, in my face, talking to me as if they didn't remember what they did. And I literally, at that time, was talking to them thinking, you're talking to me like you never hurt me at all. It didn't affect them at all. It was just what they did at the time. It didn't affect them. But it affected me. So much so that it had damaged me. But I thought I was over it. So what did I have to do? I had to go home and I had to ask God to take this out of my heart. Because this person is not even thinking about me. They might remember, but they didn't act like they remembered. But I remembered. And it was a weight. It was heavysome. It was burdensome. I was angry, and it happened years ago. But there was no, how something happens, but it wasn't over. It wasn't complete. You didn't get any satisfaction. The person didn't say, hey, I'm sorry. I acknowledge I did it. There was no closure there. So when there was no closure, yeah, you haven't seen this person over 15 years and they hurt you. Now you're face to face with this person. Unbeknown to you, they're there and they're just acting like nothing ever happened, situation never occurred, and they're talking to you like a normal person. But because this is the first time you've seen them since the incident really occurred in your life, and you went on with life, and life was good, but you didn't completely release that. It wasn't gone. It wasn't released. So I had to ask God, touch my heart towards this person, because I'm holding this thing and I didn't even realize I was holding it. I didn't realize this was touching my heart. I didn't realize this was hurting me. I didn't realize that it would affect me so much if I ever seen this person again in life. I didn't realize I held that to my heart. I didn't realize that what you did to me hurt me so much that just seeing your face, knowing you're in proximity to my area, just seeing your car and you getting out ruffled my feathers. That's serious. Guess what? There's so many people who are holding on to that. And I thank God that He released me from that. So when the next time I seen that person, which I did, which was way closer than the first time, I was able to, not only was I polite, I was polite the first time too. Not only did I hold a conversation, I had a conversation the first time too. I was able to really wish them in my heart well. I really wanted to see their life be good. Because it was something in me that needed to change. My mindset, my heart posture needed to change towards them. They were going on with life, whether good or bad, I don't know. But they were going on with life, and that happens a lot of times. We're holding something, and the person who has hurt you, you believe has hurt you, caused you pain, is going on with life, and you are Googling them. You're strolling their page. You're following after them. You're chasing after that person who hurt you. You don't want to hear their name. I don't care if anybody says that particular person's name anymore. Why? Because God had to do something with my heart. He had to change the way I felt about that. And I had to want it. That was the thing. I had to want to have a different heart posture towards her. I had to want to have a different mindset towards the situation. I had to realize, hey, wait, that happened like 15 some years ago. It's over. It's not even in the cards anymore. Live that life now and it's gone. I had to completely just get myself together and say, wait, what are you getting so upset about? You don't even live that life anymore. Sometimes we get upset about things and we hold on to things that don't even affect our lives anymore, but we still hold on to, you did this to me, you said this to me, you are underdogging me, you were talking about me. It doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. But because it's so real to us, we hold on to it. Because it was so real to me, I held on to it. I wasn't like Joseph, thinking God turned it around for the good. Now I can look and say, you know what? Because of that situation, you prevented me from probably doing something that would have changed my whole dynamics in life. But at the time, it was hurtful. It was painful. Now I can look back and say, God, you did it. You're fabulous because you already knew what was ahead there. And you blocked it. And you blocked it for my good. Even though at the time, it felt bad. At the time, it caused me pain. At the time, it caused me embarrassment. And at the time, it just didn't feel good. But now I can look back. And either after seeing that person, now it's been like a year and something now, of firstly initially seeing that person and coming to terms with, wait, you still got that. You still got that in your heart. And I went home. I discussed it. I did. And then I went and I talked to God. And I said, God, I haven't let it go. I didn't even know I had it. But I don't want it. I had to not want it. I had to not intentionally want that to be placed in my heart. And I said, I don't want this feeling. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this towards anybody. But especially towards that person who I feel had wronged me. I wanted to be able to look at them, to be able to laugh with them, to be able to have a good time with them, and not be able, and not say, oh, but I don't trust them. I was thinking that. What was it? This has been about 3 years ago now. I was thinking, I know what you're all about. I can't trust you. But my mind said, is that really forgiveness? It's not. Forgiving is, okay, I forgive you. Even if you never admit that you've done wrong, there are people who will never say, I'm sorry to you. They will never say they've done anything wrong. They will never admit the situation, and they'll never admit their part in the situation. You have to be willing to set them free for the unforgiveness that you have placed upon the situation. Guess what? When you forgive them, what happens? It opens up a door that you can be forgiven. Colossians 3:13 says it. It says, bear with one another. If one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord forgives you. So you must forgive. You say, well, Lord, I want you to forgive me, but I don't know about that other person. You say, forgive. The way I forgive you, with unconditional love. Because I love you that much. I forgive you. I don't keep bringing it back. So is it really forgiveness when you keep, and I had to check myself on this, when the person says, I'm sorry, or maybe they don't. And you say, I forgive you, but I ain't gonna forget. Is that really the Spirit of Christ? So we have to check everything. Just because the world says, don't forget. What is God telling you to do? If he says, okay, now I want you to be as harmless as a dove, is he saying you should hold that thing? What would he say to that? I'm not going to forget. Now, if God reminds you and lets you know that, okay, you're not to forget this situation. Now, we have to be smart. I'm not saying trust them with your jewels or anything like that if they're known to steal or whatever. But what I'm saying is, you have to be willing, because God is willing to forgive you of your iniquities, to forgive you of your sins, and not hold it against you. Because guess what? If he did, we all be in trouble. Well, this person does this. Well, I'm a forgiver, but we can't let her, we can't trust her in that situation anymore. No, you have to completely be willing to forgive so that your Father in heaven can forgive you. See, forgiving somebody is not particularly about them. They have a place in it. They have a part in it. but it helps release you from things that are holding you down. Guess what? When I encounter that person after many years of not seeing that person, I started getting anxious. My heart started pounding. I didn't realize that I felt the way that I did until I did. And it was just, this is how I feel. I didn't realize it until it was already happening. It's like, okay, I am definitely not okay. I'm not okay. But I want you to know, if you're holding something, you're not okay. I know people will say, I'm good. No, you're not okay. You are not okay here. This is not a place that you want to be. You don't want to be in a place where you have decided, I'm not going to forgive them. No, you see, I'm not going to forgive them. I said, well, wait. Well, should I forgive them for the things I've seen them do? That have hurt people, that have caused pain, and yet they keep praying to me to forgive them, and yet they will not extend it to another. Should I do that? No, you should forgive. God wants to forgive you. He wants to forgive you. He sent his son that you might be forgiven. He desires that you be forgiven. You're holding up the whole process. Why? Because your pride says they hurt me. Do you know how many people get hurt in this world? Let's talk about it. A lot. There are some simple steps we can take. I've got 4 steps that I can mention. One, you have to acknowledge and recognize and accept the hurt and pain that you've experienced. Just admit, I was hurt. That hurt me a lot. At that time that happened, I was devastated. So I acknowledge the experience. I acknowledge and recognize that I was hurt by this event. I was hurt by this situation. Now I have to consider the situation from the other person's point of view. Some people purposely hurt you, hands down. Some people accidentally hurt you. Some people unintentionally hurt you. And then when they realize they hurt you, they don't take it back. But some people purposely do it. So it's hard sometimes to look at why you thought this was a great idea to do this to me. Maybe because they didn't care. Maybe because they didn't think it was serious. Whatever their situation is. Then I want you to think about, then you have to determine to forgive. You have to make a conscious decision. I'm going to forgive them. It's got to be here. Here. There's got to be connected. I choose to forgive. I choose to forgive them. No matter what the situation is, I choose to forgive them. I choose to forgive. Even out of my pain, even out of my hurt, I choose to forgive. Because all that stuff is temporary. Unless you keep holding on to it, it will pass. Embrace your healing. Embrace your healing from the situation, from the person. Embrace your healing that God most definitely wants to give you. Embrace it. Guess what? He doesn't want you to walk around. And a lot of things happen in relationships where people get hurt by one person and then they just bring it into the new relationship. That person hasn't even done anything to you, but because Sam I Am has done something to you, you take it and you put it into the new relationship. So now you're suspicious. You go outside, I'm suspicious. You talk to this person, I'm suspicious. I think you lie all the time. I don't trust you. Everything this other person did to me, I have now brought into this relationship because I didn't forgive him. I didn't forgive her. I didn't forgive that situation. Yeah, you're my friend, but you can't be trusted because you ask me questions and you gossip. So now that person used to gossip, so I know you're going to be a gossiper. Let it go. Embrace the healing. Embrace the healing that God wants to bring to you. That's all you have to embrace. Lord, I don't want this. And that's what I did. I said, I don't want this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to have my heart feel heavy. I don't want to, when I see that particular person or those particular people, have a heaviness in my heart, have an instant just uncomfortable feeling. I don't want that. I knew I didn't want it. I did not want to feel like that towards anyone. So I need help. I thought I had it. I thought it was over. I thought I had dealt with this. I thought I had put it on my plate of I forgive, I forgive. And then I realized maybe I skipped that name because I didn't remember it. And so when it was put in before me, I hadn't forgiven. I put a lot of names on there, but that one I didn't. I want you to consider that. What does forgiveness look like? So when it was presented to me, what does it really look like? I can honestly say it's letting go. Letting go and allowing God to heal you. Take yourself out of the equation. Take yourself out of the picture. Because in ourselves, we want to hold on to stuff. We do. We might say, when the spirit lets you know, okay, this is unacceptable. But in our nature says, they hurt me. I have a right to be angry. And sometimes you might. But you also need to forgive. Bible says to be angry and sin not. But if you're holding something and you're holding it and you're holding it, you are now sinning because you're supposed to let that go. Let the sun not go down on your wrath. So if it started in the morning, by what time does the sun go down? By 5:30, 6 o'clock, you should be over there. It's hard to say. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. I've been there, done that. But when you actually start giving it to God and saying, God, give me a peace about this situation, because I can't take it. I can't do it on my own. And he knows that. He knows you cannot do this in your own strength. But God, I can do it with you. I can trust you with my feelings. I can trust you with my pain. I can trust you with the hurts and the injuries that I felt. I can trust you. Might not can trust myself all the time, but I can trust you. And God said, you can trust me. And I will take care of it for you. You can trust me. So what I want you to know is you can forgive. Will it always seem the easiest thing to do? No. Will you always want to do it? Nope. Is it possible to be done? Yes. It is possible to be done. Are you willing to do it? Now that question is up to you.